Hey friends, this is Miss Nikki's Traveling Story Bag coming at you with another late night story. I've been working on a few things all day and I just want to really not so much as tell you a story, but um, talk to you about something. It's a true story. It's something that really happened in my life. I gave birth to my first son, and he he came home. To me, he looked like he was sick, but I was a first time mom, so I really didn't know. So I called the pediatrician and they told me, oh, moms, you guys are always so worried. But he wasn't waking up and responding well to food and just feedings and just anything. And so I watched him through the night and it seemed like to me he stopped breathing. And I thought, is he stopping breathing? So I would just watch him and I would shake him and, I would wake the baby up to eat. And I thought, well, this is strange. And, so just kept watching him. And then he got really congested, like on that second day, the third day home. So we took him to the doctor and we took him to emergency really, and then they said, oh, he's just congested, a lot of newborns get this, and they suctioned out his nose. He had a slight fever and I was like, oh, I was so worried. But they sent me home and they said, make you some homemade saline solution, put that in his nose to loosen up the mucus, and turn on the shower. He just needs a little bit of moisture. Those are the type of things that they were telling me. And so I just followed what they told me. I didn't know what else to do. And then on that fourth night, that third or fourth night, if I'm remembering well, like I watched him through the night and he was totally stopping breathing, like stopping. And I watched him and I said, when is he going to take his next breath? And I would tap his foot and he would go, and I thought, this baby is not breathing. Right. And he's not waking up to eat and he's getting feverish and his mucus isn't going anywhere. And so, I sat up all night with him on the couch. I packed his little diaper bag. I didn't want to alarm anybody in the house. And when my mother and mother-in-law got up, um, I told them, I said, we have to take the baby to the doctor immediately. I said, something's wrong with him. And they were like, well, what's the matter? I said, he doesn't breathe right. He stops breathing. He's so congested. I think that this congestion is making him not breathe. At this point, I've sat up all night. I've held my baby on my lap all night because I'm having to, jar him to make him remember to breathe. And we got to the emergency. This time we went to a different emergency. And when we got to the emergency room, they said, oh, he's very congested. And so they suctioned out his nose and they said, Mom, you look so tired. And, I explained to them this was my second time in the last couple of days at emergency. And I just knew something was wrong. And so they listened to his lungs. They said, well, his lungs do sound a little bit thick. They said, this is what we're going to do. Since he's developing a fever and this mucus is a lot, we're going to keep him overnight and then you can get some rest. Well, I was not thinking about leaving my baby, my newborn baby, at the hospital at all. So we got ready to get in the elevator and go up to the room where he would be staying so they could observe him overnight. And while we were going up in the elevator, he totally stopped breathing in my hands. And I was like, he's doing it. He can't breathe. He can't breathe. And so the nurse that was going up with us, she mashed a button, a code or something into the elevator. And when we got up, when those elevator doors opened, wow, it was like a sea of white coats everywhere. And they snatched my baby out of my arms and up the hall they flew. And I was just standing there like, what's going on? My mom and my mother-in-law, they were there with me. And I was just in shock. And then they came, another nurse, she came out, she immediately told me they had to take him back to ICU. They're going to suction him out, they're going to get him situated, and then they're going to bring me back once they get him all cleared out. And, so quite a bit of time, it was like over an hour went by. And I was going, what's going on in there? And so they sent a social worker out to talk to me, and they explained to me that he would look different because they had been working on him. And, I'm a new mom. I'm only like 22. And, when they took me back to that Nick ICU, what I saw, I was just totally not prepared for what I saw. When I looked into the incubator, I mean, he had wires everywhere. He had something coming out of his nose, something, a little thing coming out of his head, and he had IVs and another little tube. There were just tubes everywhere. The little breather, the respirator machine, because he wasn't breathing on his own, and and he was just 2 times his size because they had given him a lot of steroids, and so I'm just standing there, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Somebody talk to me. And then they told me what they thought, that he had pneumonia, RSV, upper respiratory viral pneumonia. And I thought, how did he get that? We left the hospital, we came home. How did he contract that? And but that was secondary to the fact that my baby is not my baby. He's just like this little, you know, thing that they were working on. And so for the next 8 days, I didn't leave the hospital. I left the hospital once. And because my mom was from out of town, they put us up in the Ronald McDonald House across the street. And as soon as the Nick ICU opened, I was the first one there, first parent there. And I was the last one there when they left. And, I just really couldn't tear myself away. And I had just had the baby. And so I wasn't feeling well. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping. So something happened on that 8th day. On that 8th day, I decided that my son was a gift. And I decided that he was a gift that was given to me by, the Most High God. And so, every night, they would come out with a little wash basin and they would move the wires around and they would wash them. And, so on this night I said, can I bathe my baby? And they said, yeah, you got to watch real careful. Because I watched them do it for, like these last 8 days. And so I started at the top of his head and I soaked it up and I rinsed it and I rinsed it. And I went from the top of his head right down to the bottom of his feet. And then when I got ready to lotion him, I went from the bottom of his feet right up to the top. And the whole time I was doing it, I was singing him a little song. It's Anita Baker's old song. You bring me joy when I'm down. Oh, so much joy. When I see your face, your love comes smiling on me. And I just sang that the whole time I was getting him ready. And then I stopped and I looked at my little baby and I just started talking to God. And I said, hey, you gave him to me. You created him and you know what's best for him. So I'm going to trust you with him. I'm not going to trust what anybody said about 50% chance of life. He was on a 50-50 borderline percentage-wise. And I just decided to trust God, for lack of a better term. And I said, you gave him to me, now I'm going to give him back to you. And you can do with them what you feel is best. Because obviously the doctors don't know. I definitely don't know. But you know everything. And I kissed him. And I went over to my room across the street in the Ronald McDonald House. And for the first time in a week, I had a full, complete bath. And I even washed my hair and rolled it. And I ate my whole dinner sitting down. And then I got into bed. And I slept. I mean, I hadn't slept that well since he was born. And I even woke up late. Like I wasn't there for that first when they first opened, and I wasn't there until a little bit after noon, because I woke up slow and I wasn't worried at all. And I took my rollers out of my head and I did my hair and I had breakfast, and then I walked across the street. And when I got up there, the nurses were so surprised. It was like, we were so surprised where you were at. You're always the first one here. And I said, no, I just had to relax and, take care of myself. And they were all so smiling and everything. And so when I went over to my baby boy, I mean, there was not one wire on him. The little plug that was in here, the respirator was gone. He didn't have any IVs, and he had one tube, and there was like a little milk tube that was going down in his nose to help him get some milk into his belly, and his eyes were wide open. And I thought, they said, and they were so excited. They said a miracle happened in here last night. We don't know what it is. He just started trying to breathe on his own so much that we had to take that out of his mouth. And he just had rapid recovery. Like they tried, take this out, take that out, and by morning, by the afternoon when I got there, he was completely off of everything. And I knew in that moment that I did the right thing, that, I gave him back to the one that gave him to me. And I trusted that. I trusted that with everything in my heart, with everything in my being. And the God that I love took care of him for me, and he healed him and he restored him. And in restoring his health, he restored my hope and my faith and my joy. And he gave my son, my baby boy, back to me. And I'm sharing this with you guys because I have a friend of mine who has a child, and they've given her, a very bleak outlook. Like, your child's only going to live for this much amount of time. And I just want to share this with you guys and tell you that always, always believe the report of the Most High, of the Lord. Keep the faith. When you hear that negative stuff coming at you, this was a situation where life and death, wellness and sickness. But when you have those hard things going on in your life, and you just don't know what to do, give it up. Give it up to the Most High, to God, because he can do more with it than we can. He can do more with it than doctors can. And he knows what's best. And we trust that he can do what he does best. And that is to restore us, to help us, to heal us, to guide us, to provide for us, to see us, to love us. I just had to share that because a lot of people are going through a lot of sickness right now with COVID, and just everyday sicknesses. And so I'm just sharing this with you guys and just saying, keep the faith, keep the hope, and trust. Trust in God. Trust that he knows what's best, because he will bring you out. Okay. With that, I just want to say good night, and you guys take care. Bye-bye.